And then finally, in the news for this week, we have some updates on Apple's AR VR headset. It is getting closer to release, closer and closer to release. It sounds like, I know it feels like we've been talking about it for so long, but many folks expecting it to come out sometime in 2023. Latest now is from a new report from Bloomberg. They say that Apple is continuing the push to hire folks to work in their AR and VR technology areas. Gurman claims that the operating system for the AR VR headset is nearing completion and should be ready for the hardware release sometime next year. And in the report, he does say that the OS is supposedly codenamed Oak, which is an interesting code name. I wonder if they're just using trees or leaves or something like that. But anyway, says the team working on the hardware is part of the technology development group, and Apple is continuing to hire in that area despite recent reports of slowing down hiring efforts elsewhere at the company. So they kind of have a hiring freeze and they're not really growing. Again, a lot due to where the economy is and that sort of thing. But it sounds like within the AR VR tech group, it's a little bit different. And some of the more recent job openings seem to be more focused on the software and content side, along with building out application frameworks for third-party development. So that's another indication that we're maybe getting closer to a launch phase where Apple is really done with the hardware. That's sort of locked in. It's going to be moving into production and prototyping stages, or late prototyping stages, I guess I should say. And then they're really going to be focusing on the launch content and giving us a reason to want to buy it, even though we know it's rumored for the first version to be very, very high end and very, very pricey. We're expecting in the $2,000 to $3,000 price range, which is nowhere near sort of what's happening with some of Apple's other competitors. So they'd better be able to blow us away, I think, on the software and applications side if they really want this to work out. I have a feeling they're really hoping a lot of early adopters are going to kind of invest in the technology. They're going to get it in the hands of developers, try and figure out what goes on there. And that's a strategy Apple often takes with new devices. You remember the iPhone was extremely expensive, even subsidized when it came out, and didn't have apps, and it took a few years to kind of figure out some of the technologies. Obviously, there was some great use cases at launch, but it was really designed for early adopters. And we've seen Apple do this over and over again. I would even argue that the original iPod was that way in a lot of ways as well. Pretty expensive. So, along with sort of hiring new folks to develop software and content, Apple is also apparently starting to shift some of their internal staff over to work on the AR VR project. So moving people from other departments and other places. They brought back Dave Scott, who allegedly led the team's Apple Car project, Project Titan, before he left Apple in 2021. So he's supposedly come back to work with the AR VR team. And so Apple is really shifting resources to kind of, I think, the finish line, right? It's time to get that project over the line. DigiTimes reported this week that Pegatron, Apple's manufacturing partner, has been selected as the main manufacturing partner for the headset, and they believe that they could start to begin production in March of 2023. Those predictions line up with ones from Ming-Chi Kuo and others that seem to indicate a possible second quarter launch of Apple's AR VR headset, supposedly in time for Worldwide Developer Conference. So I think they want to roll this out, have it ready so they can give APIs and things over to developers at Worldwide Developer Conference so they can continue to develop software and applications for the headset. So all that timing seems to line up. Again, anything could shift. We're in rumor mode at this point, so who knows? But the stars are pointing right now in that direction, and hopefully Apple can pull it off. It's going to be nice to have a brand new category of product to kind of talk about, and it should be pretty exciting. I've been wanting to see what Apple's going to do in the AR VR side of things for a while. I mean, we've had hints of it with ARKit, and there's been some cool applications, but this is sort of going to take it, I think, to the next level. And I'm excited for it, but it looks like it's going to be sometime in the first half of 2023.